the Scottish Highlands. It is an area steeped in history and legends. Dominated by mountain ranges and lochs, it is one of the least populated areas in all of Europe. Yet for many, it may also be considered one of the most beautiful. Scotland, then, is immensely rich in both natural and man-made wonders. The Glenfinnan Viaduct could quite possibly rank amongst the most famous viaducts in the world. Instantly recognisable to many as the bridge from Harry Potter, this is far from its only claim to fame. At over 100 years old, it has seen a lot of history and was even used for special operation training exercises in World War II. The nearby Loch Shiel is the fourth largest loch in Scotland at over 17 miles in length. But it's likely the surrounding countryside that will catch most people's eyes. Further north, we come to Eilean Donan Castle, likely the most photographed of all of the world's castles. Situated on a small island at the nexus point of three lochs, it's hard to imagine a more picturesque location. Historically, the castle has played a number of key roles, not least for being a base of operations for Clan Mackenzie. But despite its beautiful and tranquil appearance, things haven't always been peaceful for Eilean Donan. The castle was all but destroyed in 1719 by government ships, but was eventually restored some 200 years later. We could perhaps look at buildings and structures all day long, but none would be as imposing or impressive as the largest of mountains in the entire British Isles. Ben Nevis stands at 1,345 metres, a collapsed giant. Once a volcano, it fell inwards upon itself. Today, it's one of the best-known tourist attractions in Scotland, tempting some 150,000 people per year to climb it. The city of Edinburgh, capital of Scotland and home to the largest castle in the country. Situated 135 metres above sea level and some 80 metres above the city, Edinburgh Castle dominates much of the skyline. In its more than 900-year history, the castle has served both as military base and royal residence. Yet it's perhaps Castle Rock itself, upon which the building stands, that has truly ancient history, after serving as an area of settlement since the Iron Age. In many ways, it's hard to say when habitation within this area first began. Some evidence suggests as early as 8,500 BC. Today, Edinburgh stands as a bustling centre of civilization, with a population of around 500,000 people. That's nearly 10% of the total population of Scotland. On the other end of the spectrum is the Orkney Islands, one of many archipelagos in Scotland. With over 900 islands, the country is certainly rich with these types of locations. Orkney itself is located off the northern coast of the British Isle. Comprising of 70 individual islands with a combined land area of 990 square kilometres, the archipelago is steeped with a rich history and a natural beauty. With a relatively low population of 22,000 people for that entire land area then, it's easy to see how it affords people some stunning locations to live in. So, if you're looking for some stunning vistas, you won't go wrong with Scotland. From the southern border to the northern archipelagos, it's certainly a country to remember. One of the most important parts of any new video project is the music. I knew right from the beginning when I started conceptualizing the idea that would become One Earth that I wanted to do something very special with the music. Quality music, however, is something that isn't easily found. This objective then eventually led me to a discussion with Commander Cervidian, a friend and a Patreon supporter from the Elite Dangerous community. I explained the situation to him, and he very quickly suggested bespoke music. Fortunately, thanks to his experience in many different projects, he was very quickly able to put me in contact with composer Nolan Markey. I owe a massive debt of gratitude then to Cervidian for making a key component of this project possible, both in terms of arranging things as well as contributing significantly towards the funding. Naturally, another essential part of this project has been Nolan himself.
My name is Nolan Markey, and I'm a composer living and working in Southern California, Orange County to be precise. My first gig was actually working as the orchestrator on Star Wars Rebels, and later on I was given the incredible opportunity to contribute additional music to the last season of the Clone Wars, which I'm incredibly grateful for. I also write music for comics, video games, television, anything that allows me to be creative and do what I love.
Now Nolan very quickly grasped what I was aiming for with One Earth and understood exactly what type of music I wanted.
My creative process typically starts with me noodling around on a piano until I'm able to put together some ideas that match the scope of the project that I'm working on. Once I come up with a handful of possible ideas, I'll start musically developing them a bit more. And at this point, I start to get a better idea of what works and what doesn't. So some ideas end up being discarded. And once I've distilled everything into a first draft, I create a digital mock-up of the piece with virtual instruments, and I send it to my collaborator to get some feedback. Assuming that the first draft goes over well, I'll continue to develop it and incorporate feedback until we get to a point where everyone is really happy with the music and we can move forward with the process. At this point, I book the orchestra and I orchestrate everything, which involves getting all of the music from my computer onto actual paper so that the musicians can actually record it. Once all that is done, we deliver it to the orchestra, we record, which is the most fun part of the whole process in my opinion. Afterwards, we mix everything and then we deliver it, and that's the process from top to tail.
What's more, as I wanted something grand and significant for this piece, we quickly turned towards the idea of having the music played by an orchestra.
By its very nature, working with an orchestra is an incredibly collaborative experience. You have anywhere from a small handful to 100 musicians all in a room creating music together. And I think that an orchestra is the most expressive kind of ensemble you can work with, both musically and emotionally. An orchestra is capable of producing an infinite number of sounds for an infinite number of emotions or projects, and it's where I feel most at home as a composer.
The final piece then was played by the Budapest Orchestra, and I think the results speak for themselves.
I spend a lot of my free time between projects hiking and exploring in Southern California, so I was definitely trying to convey the general sense of awe that I find in nature every time I set out into the wilderness. I really wanted to cover the entire spectrum from charming to almost emotionally overwhelming. So the piece kind of mirrors that, and it continues to grow from a very soft start to a very sort of triumphant finish as it moves along.
What resulted then was the theme for the One Earth series. It took a lot of people to make this possible, and it has honestly been a very special experience for me. Oh, a huge thanks to Cervidian, Nolan Markey, and of course the Budapest Orchestra for making this all possible.